All right, welcome back to episode 12 of the Sam Arnott coaching vlog. I actually filmed a little bit last week, but it was about 5:25 in the morning and I was absolutely toast. But I still filmed a few clips from a patella tendonitis client that I had. So I'll show you a few bits and pieces from there and the one. All right, so it is a few days later and nothing really exciting going on. So I didn't film anything, but I was driving on the way home. I've got to do laundry. The laundry is going to be all the footy bibs. I've got to clean them twice a week, which is heaps of fun. Love doing that. And our GPS is going them, so that's super fun. So I love doing that and making sure I'm on top of that, and so the lads don't get any stinky shitty bibs. So heaps of fun. Anyways, but on the drive here, I was thinking about, what could I post today? And recently I'd had two groin hip clients doing the same exercise, and they were both really struggling, and it kind of struck me a little bit as to why, and my mind was kind of analyzing it a little bit. So I thought I would kind of explain it today, and I'm going to explain it with a tuna can, and I'm going to explain it with chopsticks. I would love a little pelvis model, but I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. Not too fancy. But the exercise that they had trouble with, and I'll show you me demonstrating it now. In like a cemented brick, all right? We're up through here. Stretch. And we're up. Squeeze. Little calf raise. Pack it in, all right? Really tight the hip. And they have trouble with that exercise because, one, it actually lengthens their groin. They go into that hip hike position. They lengthen their groin, they lengthen their adductor, which they probably don't get a lot of. And they're really squeezing their lateral hip. And they found that so tough and so exhausting because they don't really get that opportunity. They never put their pelvis in that space. And what I kind of mean by that, here's our pelvis and here's our two femur bones here. And we'd love to have a pelvis. Laxa, is it? Laxa. We'd love to have a pelvis that can go, forward, that can go side to side, and that can rotate this way. And how that kind of interacts with the femurs. Let me try here. All right, how that interacts with the femurs, this kind of shoots this way and we kind of abduct like this. I'm not sure you can see that so well. All right, so we can go through here, we shift and we abduct, abduct and adduct that come in a little bit. So I'll do one. Pelvis shifts, it hikes, rolls like this, and then the other side, it shifts the other way and then rolls like this a little bit. So we need a femur that can go outside and inside, essentially. And when they do that, they're shifting their pelvis in a frontal plane, which they don't get that much of. And like I said, they're lengthening the groin, and they're getting this tremendous amount of shortness. So think if we're pushing our pelvis to, let's say, your left, you're going to get a shortening on the right. So you're opening on the left, shortening on the right. And that shortening for these guys, I would love them to just like squeeze. And they bloody hated it. They thought it was absolute torture. We were doing like 10 reps and they were buggered, exhausted and sweating, and just could feel this like tremendous amount of, it is super exhausting to squeeze and condense and compact and compress areas that one you don't usually get to. Like, regardless, it is quite tough and it is exhausting, but for areas that you actually don't get exposed to, or it's been a long time since you've been able to access that area, it is so exhausting on the body. So in this kind of lengthening, this curtsy to a hip lock, they're experiencing that shortness, and that's the kind of shortness I'd love to see when they walk. Again, maybe not as aggressively when they walk, when they take a step, when they take a stride. Left hip lengthens and then right hip shortens, and vice versa as we take steps. But that amount of length and that amount of shortness is so important, which, like, and I kind of already knew this, but it also made me realize, like, for those who have lower backs that are sore and tight, exact same thing. I cannot tell you the amount of people that, you know, have come to me with tight backs, or they just have tight backs in general, and they can't extend their hips. They can't, there's a side on here. They can't shoot their pelvis forward, and it's not a shortening of their glutes that's pushing them forward. That's a shortening of their back, because they actually can't get their pelvis to move in space, like move in this plane going back and forth. So it's not a shortening and a lengthening, it's of glutes. It's a shoving, it's a compressing of our lower back. And you know, you do that with every step you take, every move you make. And yeah, it'll just get that amount of just compression, because glutes aren't lengthening and glutes aren't shortening. We need shortness to create length, and length to create shortness. But for a lot of people, particularly around the hips, particularly around the pelvis, they're just not experiencing that. So that's super important that we can lengthen. That's why you might have seen me do like a lot of hinges, do a lot of split squats, a lot of stuff on one leg. So we can experience this whole, I'm just going to use the word organism, which is a whole leg, this whole system, this whole leg system to work together. So a foot's working while, I'm kind of backtracking here, but a foot's working while we're getting an immense amount of length, and a foot's working while we're getting an amount of shortness at the hip. And that's just one big organism that's working together. And somewhere down the track, something's not working. And things get weak and things get misused, and like you adopt a different strategy, and it's just a bit of a shit show. So, but yeah, for those guys with the lateral, with the curtsy to hip lock, they were struggling. And I'll throw another exercise that actually the same client originally did not like at all. It's more of a strength exercise, and I'll show you now.
Can be, I'm going to push through my bottom knee as tall as I can, squeeze, getting length, even at my top knee, heaps of length, and then as I come down, still nice and tall. I'm not going to sag through here, so nice and tall. Again, hips don't have to come through, obtuse angle.
So with that one, he was experiencing like a lot of stretch, because we were just, and it is a strength exercise because it is loaded. Again, it's body weight, but again, we're having to push against gravity, so it is very tough. So, and he was experiencing just like a little bit of tightness in there, a little bit of discomfort, but it's because never really experienced that frontal plane before. All right, we didn't have a pelvis that could shoot on the inside or shoot either way. So he's experiencing a little bit of tightness through there, but again, we need shortness and length, and we need expansion and compression for everything to move. Like when we walk, expansion, compression is always happening as we move. But yeah, if you're experiencing that kind of tightness, they're two exercises, or like discomfort, whatever. They're kind of two exercises that I would absolutely try. And again, to get the shortness, turn that into length, and get the length and turn that into shortness. And my light's just gone out, so that's a good sign. So if you got any questions, let me know. That is episode 12. This YouTube is still going. Peace.